And joining me now on the Unpacking It podcast, a returning guest, the head coach of the Charlotte 49ers, Will Healy. Coach, it's so great to catch up with you. How are you?
I'm shocked that after going 2-4, y'all would let me come back on here. So I'm honored that you would call. I'm doing great. You know, I know we've had a lot to catch up on in the last 16 months or so, but things are great around here. And again, appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, let's start on the positive note. It's summertime, so what does that mean for the Healy family and your boys and your wife? What do you guys have planned, and what's going on?
Well, 6- and 2-year-old enjoy summertime. There's a lot of water slides in the backyard and a little bit of tennis camp, golf camp, playing baseball, football. So they're ready for daddy to be home. You leave for work at 8 and they're ready for you to be home at 9. But, you know, have had an opportunity to we'll have a family vacation coming up here soon and have a chance to spend some time away from the office a little bit. And then, you know, gearing ourselves up. Our guys came back to school May 24th. So at the office a lot, seeing our guys and still working on some of the culture aspects that are important to us. But summer's been, you know, a big family time for us and excited that it looks like some type of normalcy this summer for us around here at Charlotte.
Absolutely. No, it's beautiful and exciting for sure. And for you mentioned, you know, building the culture and this idea of building, you know, the team and relationships and that sort of thing. What have been some of even the fun opportunities that you've been able to do in the spring? I heard something about a Top Golf kind of outing. And then what do you even have planned for the team, even kind of beyond the field to build some of that chemistry? Yeah,
and you got to be careful because you don't want everybody to think you're not taking the protocol seriously. There's still a pandemic going on. But we did have a chance to take about 40 guys to a Top Golf event at Bank of America Stadium, which was awesome. You know, it was really one of the first team things we've been able to do in the last year or so. And got to see some really pretty golf swings and some guys who need a couple lessons before I'd ever play with them again. But doing it at Bank of America was really cool, a great event. And anytime we can connect ourselves with the Panthers, it's been special. So we're doing culture cookouts every Wednesday night during the summer, which have been great. Get away from football, feed them, hang out, relax. You know, I talked to one of my mentors, Heath Esslinger, who, you know, just talked about the importance of doing it in the summer because when you get into the fall, everything seems so packed, you know, and you don't know how much your guys are really, you know, focusing on what you're talking about. And so you got a little bit more time in the summer, being able to spend some of those times talking about things other than football. We've taken advantage of this year and have enjoyed being around our guys. And, you know, they're playing basketball and badminton and wiffle ball and cornhole and all that type of stuff. So we got a couple fun events for them coming up, some more golf involved, maybe even, you know, some roller coasters in the future, but trying to do as many fun things with them as we can. And just, you know, obviously from a relationship perspective, bigger than the game of football.
Absolutely. No, I love hearing that. And so you mentioned cookouts. Did they ever see you on the grill? Are you a grill master, or what's kind of your situation?
No, these things are catered. I don't know if we'd have anybody in our program who would eat something that I cooked. My wife hardly does. So, you know, I am not a grill master by any stretch. I've got like a pimento cheese chicken that's my go-to. Ooh. But my wife says the only thing I'm really not sure of is when I cook. You know, is it cooked well enough? Is it, you know, does it taste right? And she thinks I'm a little bit more apprehensive about cooking than I am anything else. So most of it is to-go orders in the Healy house.
That's right. If it involves cheese, I'm good. So grilled cheese or quesadilla, I'm all set. But outside
eggs, bacon, I can do that. Waffles, pancakes. Yep. You get outside of that, now I'm in the danger zone.
That's right. I'm right there with you. Well, let's talk about last year because, you know, we talked in the spring. It was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what was going on with the pandemic. And then, you know, thankfully football was back last year. But for many programs, it was very challenging. And for you guys, it was difficult. So for kind of takes fans into what that experience was like last year, only playing 6 games. And now that you've had some time to reflect on last year, what are some of those takeaways?
Well, you know, you and I talked about it. I went 0 for my first 13 as a head coach, and I didn't think that I'd go through anything as a head coach that would be more difficult than that. But last year was, and for a lot of different reasons. You know, obviously at the end of the day, playing football games is not the most important thing, but it is something that's been a very rewarding experience for our guys. And you know, we had 9 games canceled. 7 of them were within 48 hours of the game, and 5 of them were canceled within 24 hours of the game. And that's a lot of preparation, a lot of hard work that these guys have put into it, to not be able to have just rewarded with an opportunity to go play. I think the other thing about it that was hard for me is I didn't have any answers. You know, why are we doing this? Why can I put a helmet on and go tackle somebody, but when I'm in a walkthrough, I got to put a mask on? Why can I you know, why are we shutting down with this amount of positives, but we practice with this amount of positives? Why are we traveling this way? And I didn't have great answers for them, because I think everybody here was learning at the, you know, on what's the best practice to be able to use during this crazy, unheard of time. And I give a lot of credit to our administration and our doctors. They did a tremendous job of doing everything they could to be able to help us. You know, it's just these guys had 9 opportunities taken away from them. We had more than anybody else in college football. And not only that, you know, just the mental health aspect of this thing, you know, taking away relationships from these guys, taking away an experience from these guys, you know, having to wear a mask everywhere they go, get tested 3 times a week. You know, it was a lot. And you know, I was worried more about their mental health than and still am more worried about their mental health than I am anything else. These guys understand the risks they take every time they go on a football field. You know, you talk risk to an 18 to 23-year-old, and they don't really understand what you're talking about because they go run into each other full speed. You know, it was more of how you doing, really, you know, beyond surface level conversations. And then, you know, we've invested because I'm not capable of handling a lot of those hard conversations with how they're really doing, and those guys having the resources to be able to open up to somebody. So our university has invested a lot into these guys and their mental health and well-being, and we're continuing to grow and learn the best practices for it. But hard year, obviously not the success that we wanted on or off the field. You know, I'm proud of our guys for how they handled it because they were unbelievable, just positive as all get out, and practice their rear end off, and you know, but to have 9 opportunities that I had to, as the head coach, stand up and say, we're not playing this week, that was taxing. And so I'm glad to be moving on from that.
Absolutely. And I'm curious from your perspective, you know, here you are, the players are looking to you, like you're supposed to be the anchor and the rock and the encourager and, hey, keep going. But what was that dynamic like? Because you're having to hear this news yourself, and here you are, a young coach trying to prove yourself and build a program and want to build off the momentum from the year before, and you're not getting that opportunity as a head coach. So you're experiencing this personally while having to be strong for the team. What was that like, and how important was your faith and relying on God during those experiences?
Well, you know, I mean, you talk about, and I just had a conversation with one of our guys on the practice field today. You know, then on top of it, you're going to shut down churches, you know, and you're going to, every time you have an FCA meeting, you got to worry about how many guys are going to be contact traced, you know, and how many, what is safe to have a certain amount of people in a room, and to have those type of, you know, 30-minute meetings. A lot of that is thrown off. And, you know, I think that so much of it is bigger than the game of football aspect of your life, and whatever that may be for anybody, you know. Hopefully, you know, for a lot of us, it is our faith. But whatever it is that brings you back to, you know, something that's consistent, that's there even when times aren't good, I think was so important. I think the positivity aspect of our culture and really for me as a head coach, I mean, hey boys, suck it up. You got to walk in here and you got you got to be positive as all get out with 150 people who are looking at you for direction. And that was trying, you know. I mean, not every day did you feel like going up there and acting like that, you know, it was all flowers outside. But I fortunately surrounded by an unbelievable group of coaches and friends that were able to pick me up when I was down, a wife who was always there for me, and lived it with me, you know, and obviously my faith, which is still so far from, much like I am as a coach, so far from where I need to be, was extremely important. And any, you know, relying and having a foundation in something outside wins and losses, I think is important in all times, but especially in this time.
Absolutely, man. Well, no, I appreciate you sharing that. And I guess to unpack it a little bit further, as you reflect, were there any maybe specific ways that you grew as a coach and grew personally, spiritually, just throughout this last year plus?
Yeah. And you feel like you made so many mistakes last year, you should have been fired. You know, I mean, it's like how you handled one situation or you know, how could you have done it better? Which you hope that you're not preparing for this again, but even with what you've been through, where did you run into pitfalls along the way? Where were you so headstrong that it probably got you? And I think we did a phenomenal job of making sure that we were open, honest, and transparent with our players. And, you know, this is who tested positive, or this is the reality of this game on Saturday, or, you know, this is where we stand as a program, or whatever it may be. We were very transparent with them. And I think sometimes what happens is when you're, you know, you just had a conversation with your athletic director and it's 50-50 on whether you're going to play or not on Friday. And then you're going to go out, or Saturday, and then you're going to go out and practice Friday morning. When you share that with your guys and then you expect them to be professionals and go out and have the best practice ever, I am sure, just like our staff, you're going through it wondering if you're going to play a game the next day and if you're practicing for nothing. And I think there were times where that hit us, where we finally got an opportunity to play and it probably caught us off guard. And that's on me. You know, we've got to be prepared for it, whether it happens or not. You know, I think that when you've built a culture around relationships and being a tight-knit group, and you're not able to enjoy some of those luxuries that you've had in the past with team building experiences and having people over for dinner, and, you know, what you do on the road with traveling and some of those things, when those are taken away from you, you know, how do you respond to it? How do you get creative with it? Recruiting, right? You know, having guys on campus, building relationships with our staff. Did you do as good a job as you could have done to be able to find other unique ways to be able to share your story? You know, some of the, you know, as many times as you were down, you know, I go back to finding, you know, going back to your faith and your foundation. There were times where the losing a game or the losing the opportunity to be able to play a game, you know, it got the best of you, and you lost that concrete foundation that you've built, you know, and you let the negativities and the you know, really the kind of the up in the air juggle of what's next. I think there were plenty of times where I strayed away from my faith and didn't rely on it as much as I should have. And when that happened, everything just seemed to fall apart. You know, it's kind of like a culture in a football program. You know, if you're not talking about it every day, if you're not reading up on it every day, if you're not, you know, making that a priority every day, then it's never going to be what you want it to be. And I found that to be the case, you know, from a faith perspective as well. So a lot that I learned that I was much more at peace whenever I got back to my foundation, whenever our football team got back to our foundation. And I don't know how many times it's going to take me to have to learn the same lesson again, you know, but I feel like a moron every time I have to.
I'm right there with you. I get that for sure. And I guess when you say, you know, get back to your faith and your foundation, in what ways are you intentional in, you know, spending time with God, or what does that look like for you? Kind of just spiritual disciplines and ways that you know man, I gotta get kind of refocused. What is that kind of strategy or process for you?
Well, typically, and I know it shouldn't be this way, but typically a lot of it is church, and in the state of North Carolina, that's been difficult over the last 14 months, 15 months with access to a church. One of the things that we've started back here is a Bible study on Monday mornings for coaches. And our head of FCA, Ryan Glower, does an unbelievable job and has really been a backbone for me, an accountability partner for me, and also for our staff with getting back into that and making that a priority for our staff. My mom has always been an unbelievable foundation for me for her faith and how consistent she is. Heath Esslinger, who I talked about earlier, who works with FCA in Chattanooga and A Better Way Athletics, has always been the guy who calls me out, anytime I'm not walking the straight and narrow and not living for something bigger than myself. And, so all of those things were, whether it's a Bible study, whether it's, daily devotionals, whether it's the accountability partners I've had along the way, but, making that a priority. And again, I still have a lot to learn. I'm the last person who should be on here talking about, I'm holier than thou, because I've got a long way to go in my faith. But when you miss out on some of those opportunities, you seem to stray further and further away. When you don't have those Friday night FCA meetings, when you don't have the Bible studies, when you don't make the time for the reading or the daily structure, and you end up spending more time preparing for a game than you do for your faith. That's where I've had pitfalls along the way and need to continue to be mature enough to say, no, this is what it's about. And this is where I've found peace throughout my life. And even though there may be the struggle and the challenges thrown at you that the last 16 months have thrown at you, that's still, you can't just be good when times are good, and that's something I continue to learn.
Man, no, I appreciate you sharing that. I appreciate your authenticity and transparency. And I know guys listening today can relate to so much of that and can identify, hey, we're in this journey and it's a daily opportunity to grow. We slip, we fall. Thankfully, God loves us and he's with us as we continue on in this journey of faith. And so thanks for sharing all that. And one thing you mentioned too, this idea last year where you practice for nothing. It feels like that, where the game gets canceled, you practice for nothing. So now here we are gearing up for another season. And I know that those practice, they weren't for nothing. They were building this team to prepare for this upcoming season. So how excited are you about this team? And how do you feel like, man, this team has really grown even through all that and is set up well to surprise some people this year?
I've taken so many things for granted over my life as a coach and as a player. Just having a chance to complete 15 spring practices is something that I've probably taken for granted for my entire time playing football. I didn't take that for granted this year. Having a chance to have these guys out here working out right now and be able to do fun things with them in the summer, culture cookouts, and take them to go play golf and have them over to your house. And I don't take that for granted. And I hope I don't ever take that for granted again after what we've been through, over the last couple months or over the last year. But I'm really excited about this football team. I'm excited how these guys have responded through all the adversity that they've faced. I'm excited to get a chance to love on them and hug on them and be around them and develop a relationship with them outside of the facility. And a lot of it is you want to give them the experience that they want. They want to go win games. They want to go play for conference championships. But in the meantime, you can teach them about what it looks like to have an identity outside of this game. And so, kind of the carrot that's dangling, these guys love football and they love competing. And when you take some of those opportunities away from them, it's hard because that's what I want for them. I know how hard they've worked for it. And so I'm excited to be able to have some of these opportunities again. I'm excited about the football team we have coming back and the new guys that we've added. I'm excited to be able to use this summer as a way for us to be able to develop the type of culture and close-knit football team that we expect to have here. And then I'm excited about the staff that we have. We've added some new coaches. We've had some guys leave, and I'm excited about the group. So like every coach you'd probably have on here right now, in June, everything's great. But our guys have worked really, really hard since January, and they've been through a lot. We've been able to expose some weaknesses and create some new habits. And I think there's big things in store for this football team.
That's exciting. I'm fired up for it. And so you mentioned your staff and your assistant coaches and adding new ones to the staff. What is your kind of leadership style, and how do you utilize your staff, and even kind of what does that look like, adding somebody to the staff and getting them kind of up to speed and bought in and understanding, what's already been built and where you guys are heading?
Well, the most important part to me is, do you enjoy being around the person that you're hiring? It's much like recruiting to me. I want to recruit players that I like, that I will be passionate about getting up in the morning every single day and going to help, because that makes this job so much more fun when you work with great people and when you work with great athletes and great student athletes that you enjoy being around. There's a different type of motivation, not cutting corners on, hey, I think this guy's a great recruiter, he's a great coach, but I don't really enjoy being around him. I love being around our staff, so much so that when we have a chance to leave work and go hang out with each other, we love doing it. We love going on trips together. We love, we love coaches retreats and all those type of things. So we've got a really tight-knit staff. So the first thing to me in hiring somebody is, do you want to be around them every day? Are you going to enjoy working with them? Then what type of relationship do you think, what do they believe in? And do you think they'll develop the type of relationship you would want them to that matches your culture with your players? You as a head coach can be so passionate about, this is what I believe in, but when the door closes and those guys are in there with their position, if it doesn't match, it's really hard to build that. So, finding people who match those same ideals and beliefs, and, obviously a personality. Can they recruit? Will they treat people the right way? Will they be, will they work hard? Are they self-motivated and self-driven? And what's their knowledge? All of those things definitely come into play. But the biggest thing is, do I want to be around you every day? And if the answer to that is no, I don't care how good of a football coach you are, I don't want to spend my time not enjoying who I work with. And I've got a lot of great people here. I mean, I think if there's anything I've done well that I've succeeded in, it would be I've surrounded myself with great people.
Amen. It's so crucial in all walks of life. That's for sure. Well, Coach, it's been great catching up with you, and appreciate you sharing all that you did, and excited for this upcoming season. And Lord willing, we'll have a full season and get the fans back in full capacity and cheering you guys on. And so it's great to have you at the helm for the Charlotte 49ers, and being a Charlotte guy myself growing up here. Of course, I'm an App State guy. But
we'll change it.
But I love when Charlotte's relevant, and to have a football program here is awesome. So anyway, so thanks, Coach, and wish you the best this summer. Enjoying the family, enjoying some of those culture cookouts, and then of course with the upcoming season.
Appreciate your time, man. Have a great day. Thanks for having me.
All right, absolutely. There's Coach Will Healy from the Charlotte 49ers joining us here on Unpacking It.